that. Okay. Basic assembly. Let's start from the front. We start with this shaft, which is bidirectional, can go in either way, goes in there. We'll put one of these nuts, bolts on the outside. So this is really just to stop the end folding off the shaft. Actually, metal on metal, little tiny bit of thread lock. Because I don't want it vibrating loose. Not a good thing to have your steering control vibrate loose so that it drops off. Okay, so there's that. Then we put the large bearing. Then we put the plastic centre. Then the carrier. And we press that bearing in to the end. We then put the next bearing in and press that into the end. Oh, didn't need much pressing. In fact, it's relatively loose, but then we put this on the end. Now then, gotta get this right. So when that's vertical, this faces me. I'm following the picture. They should be at right angles to each other, I guess. I don't know if that will move slightly. It looks slightly not quite at right angles. No, that's even worse. And you've got another diagram here reminding you that it needs to be at right angles. Why did that one look longer? Or why does this one look shorter? They're not. So it's right, but the other one just struck me as being longer than this. Must have been just the way I was holding it. No, something's not right. That is not the right thread. Let's see if there's another one. BB. Okay, sorry, I've gone quiet. This that is not screwing in properly. Looks like I'm going to have to, it looks like the thread is potentially damaged or not cut properly. So some thread lock, and I did not like that because it really didn't feel, it was too tight for what it should be. It didn't feel right, as though the thread was damaged or was the wrong thread. But I don't have an alternative. It is the right screw, I checked that. And therefore the only sort of choice I had there was literally just to go ahead and screw it in. Potentially though, I would have stripped the threads on the nut, or in the end, more likely on the nut, which is at least safer than stripping the threads on the end of the rod. But it is in place. The thread lock should hold it in, and I should have no need to take that apart. So. Potentially just not a very cleanly cut thread on that one. So now what we need to do is to mount the correct things in the correct directions. Okay, so again, you touch your thread lock. Now this this particular ball can be mounted in 2 different holes. At the moment this is suggesting mounting in the bottom one, but it could potentially go in the other one if you need more travel. This is where it's just a little bit fiddly. Now this one doesn't have a choice. There's just the one hole. You need 3 tiny hands to do these things. Sometimes. Oh, come on. There we go. You just need to get it started. Once it's started, it goes in, but What this does is just basically I think it's this way, but basically the servo pushes drives it this way, and then the push rod moves it across the chassis. So that's one of the assemblies done. We've used our first ball bearings, and if I can get my fingers out of the way, that sort of spins quite nicely, nice and freely. The ball bearings help reduce the friction, which is their job, of course. Now then, 3 rods, or 3 shredded weight. We'll put these together, but then that'll be it for this evening. So 2 of the rods are here, I know this. Don't need that anymore. Now the other one, I'm assuming is in here. But it's not that one. Okay. Is it in this other bag? Probably this one in here then. Incidentally, here are the 2 phosphor bronze bushes. I believe the phosphor bronze. Could be brass, I suppose, but I actually am not a metallurgist, couldn't tell you. We replaced those with ball bearings, so they are surplus to requirements. Now then, measuring device. That's a good measuring device. That's the right one for there. That's the right one for there, and that's the right one for there. They are to length. So again, these now then, definitely cut these off if you can, because if you twist them you may distort the socket, which is where the ball goes into. If you distort the socket, then what could happen is you just have more friction on the ball than it needs, or than it wants, and that can cause just premature wear. Right. Now these get screwed into here. Nah, they do, honestly. This one's an awkward one, basically, to hold. So I need to go to about halfway, which is about where my fingernail is there. Ideally you want both of them screwed in the same amount. I really don't want to hold this with pliers. Just because I don't want to, well, I guess I probably wouldn't damage the threads, but if I hold on reasonably gently. Which I'm going to have to do because it's screwing into this left-hand one here. Now this centre one doesn't really, the centre here, really the thread on the centre doesn't really matter a great deal. Now I'm going to end up with a 0.5 millimetre difference between these two. It basically means they're touching but not quite. Now I don't know if that's a 0.5 millimetre, that probably is closer to 0.5 millimetre. I might get a ruler out at some point. I've also got a micrometer, a gauge, digital, that will tell me the distance, but that's probably close enough. These are a little bit more important to get the distance here between. In fact, let me hold that in there, make it easier. There's no thread on the center portion there, so I'm not going to damage a thread by holding it with pliers, but I'm more concerned about the pliers. Because these are smooth jawed pliers which I use for jewellery, so I don't want them damaged or sharp edges creating on them from threads, because that might damage the jewellery. Okay, I'll have to measure them. The distance between the inside surfaces there is to be 33mm. They've already done all the calculations for you, so you don't even have to do it. On the model, they already know exactly what the lens need to be. Now you do really want to have both ends screwed on reasonably equally, so that they have the same amount of screw thread in each end. If you just had one on, you know, just a tiny bit like this, and the other one screwed on as far as it will go, you might get the same distance, but then this one will pull off really easily. Okay, so those need to be measured for length and make sure they're parallel. You can actually buy tools, measuring tools that have sort of a ball on each end. You set it to what you want, or and then you can put this on top, and you can feel whether it's the right length and adjust it until it is, or alternatively you can sort of mount this on the tool, adjust the tool, and it'll tell you what the size is between the balls. In this particular case we want the size between the two things, so I would use either a ruler, or as I happen to have a pair of calipers which don't have the battery in at the moment, but effectively what I do with this is turn it on, set it, just run that to there like that. That will tell me exactly what the distance is between them. I then adjust it until it measures what I'm after, and there we are. And that's what I'll do between the between streams, because that's it for tonight. We've essentially got part 6 complete, so we've done the first 6 parts. The next thing then is to mount the steering servo on using these parts.
Getting the last tuning station you listen to.
Alexa,
Radio.
stop. And then we start with the suspension mounting. The shock absorbers start to go in next, and then the leaf springs. So that, however, is for the next stream. When's the next stream? Next stream is on Friday, 7 PM UK time, which is 1800 hours UTC or GMT. Hopefully it won't be late. There is some variation sometimes, because I do have to come in from work, make and eat tea. So occasionally, if there's a slight delay at work, for example, or getting home, then things can be delayed a little bit. If there's going to be any real problems, follow me on Twitter. Keep an eye out for a message on Twitter. If I'm going to be really late, I will usually say so on there. Or if there's any problem that stops me streaming, why am I on Twitter? @Zaraganart, just the same as it is here on Twitch. If you'd like to see the first section of this, where we did parts 3 and 4, because we've done 1, 2, 4, and 4, 5 and 6 this time, but if you want to see parts 3 and 4, I'm going to upload those onto YouTube this evening. I think actually the full 2 hours is still available here on Twitch for about another few days, but if you would like to see them on YouTube, I will be uploading them in half-an-hour chunks onto YouTube this evening, and then these will follow it in a few days' time. So hopefully you enjoyed that. Look forward to seeing you on the next stream. Bye for now. Good night, Wolfie.